Hi everyone, welcome back to Mumlemmas and More. Before we get into our chat, I would like to thank our season sponsor, Mumlemmas, the expert pregnancy skincare brand created by mamas for mamas. And don't forget, we have a special discount code for you all. The code will give you 25% off the entire range, so stay tuned to find out more.
So, Mill, we've got some juicy mumlemmas to get into today with my personal favourite, how to deal with a changing sex life after you've had kids. A bit of a juicy one. A little bit nerve-wracking to talk about, not going to lie.
It does feel a bit like taboo to talk about
Doesn't it? Which is super weird because we're so open, but it feels a little bit nerve-wracking, I have to say. But I think we're going to do that one together, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, we talk about it privately a lot, don't we?
We talk about it all the time, and I think it's such an important topic to talk about. It shouldn't be shameful. It shouldn't be something that we feel embarrassed about.
Not at all. So, looking forward to that one.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about sex.
I'm also going to tackle one that I know has been troubling you, how to deal with your 4-year-old falling in love.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
I know. Very current one for me.
And then another mumlemma that has been something I've been feeling recently, of how to deal with your changing identity after becoming a mum.
Great one. Huge topic. And I can't wait to hear what you've got to say, obviously, with, all your fashion expertise. And I'm sure there's lots to say on that one.
Yeah, it does really change. Like it is, there's such a big shift, and it affects like all areas of your life. But for me, definitely, I've recently been really feeling like, I don't know what to wear. Like, who am I now? Like,
totally.
What is my identity? Like, what and how I want to express that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're also going to be launching, very exciting, our Made in Chelsea trivia quiz. I know you love the name.
My favourite name.
Are you tough enough? So we're going to be playing that a little bit later for the very first time. So stay tuned and you can win some fabulous prizes.
So first up, we're going to kick off with a little game, and it's called the Mumlemma Confessional. So basically you have to pick a number between 1 and 13, and you have to read whatever is written on that particular card and answer the question without looking. We haven't seen these. Are you ready?
Okay, who's going to go first?
You pick a number and I'll do it for you.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3. When was the last time you lied to your kids?
Yesterday, I told Sienna that the batteries weren't working in one of her books. I said, and they were, but I turned it off at the back because she just kept pressing the button, and it has this really annoying noise. It's basically it's her like Princess Polly's potty book, and it has this really annoying hooray noise on every page. Like you can press the button and it goes hooray, which is meant to be basically like you're saying, congratulating them for like going to the loo. And it's like about a little girl doing potty training, and it's really annoying. And she's been so obsessed with the book that she wants to take it to bed with her. So I just make sure it's like turned off so she's not just like pressing it throughout the night.
I think that's a classic one. I do that all the time.
The batteries are broken.
Yeah. Oh,
there's
no batteries, ran out of batteries, TV's broken, everything's broken.
Things break and run out of batteries quite often, but then can be magically fixed by mummy or daddy also.
Yeah.
So
when you need to watch TV.
Yeah.
Miraculous.
Oh, it's fixed again. Oh, wow.
Recovery.
Sometimes the park's closed.
Oh, park's always closed. Door is firmly locked. Closed.
Park's closed. I mean, I do feel bad about these white lies. I've realised now Sienna can actually lie to us.
No.
She's realised that she can lie.
Like what?
So she told Hugo that I said she could do something, and I can't. What did she do the other day? She said, she drew on the door like with a pen. It's the first time she's done it. She knows she's only meant to draw sitting at her table and in her like drawing books. She can draw on her table because it's like a one you can wipe off. She's not allowed to draw anywhere else. And she, with a pen, came up and drew all over the door. And I told her off, and then Hugo was like, Sienna, why did you do that? She said, Mummy told me to.
No.
Uh-oh. Yeah, she's 2.
She's going to play your own game in a minute. She'll be like, Mum, the batteries are broken.
I know. I don't know what I've got myself into. Okay, right, your turn.
Okay. Wait, shall I do a few for you? And then...
Okay.
Okay, so we might have to go back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, pick another one.
Number 9.
Number 9. Coming up. When was the last time you hid in the toilet?
Probably like this morning. I always find it's quite hectic around like breakfast time.
Yeah.
And, you know, by kind of, they've only been up for an hour, but you're like, how does the morning feel like it's gone on forever? So, yeah, probably just hid in there and looked at my phone for about 5 minutes.
I love it. Okay, next one.
Okay, I'm going to do one more. Number 12.
Number 12 is... Have you ever smelt poo but pretended not to notice until Hugo did?
Well, kind of, but also, you know, I lost my sense of smell when I had COVID.
Please.
I literally don't have a sense of smell.
Is this what you tell Hugo? This is pretty
I'm
genius.
not lying. Like 2 years ago, when I had COVID, my smell went, and I can only smell a couple of things now.
Not poo.
No, I literally can't smell poo. Which I'm actually quite grateful for. It's sad because I can't smell a lot of nice things, but I can't smell poo.
Oh, that's pretty genius, I have to say.
So I could normally tell from the bulge in the nappy if it needs changing.
Yeah.
But I definitely have once or twice just kind of been like, oh, I think, you know, Sienna wants you to change her nappy.
She really wants you to.
Yeah, but she actually normally asks me to do it, so I can't really get away.
So does Hugo smell it? He can smell it?
Yeah.
So he's the detector?
Yeah.
Oh, clever.
He's the poo detector. I can't help it. I can't smell. Okay, right,
Genius.
your turn. What? Okay.
Okay, number 7. Have we done that yet?
No. Number 7. Okay. This is a good one. What is the worst thing that you have fed your kids?
Oh, I feel like this is quite a current one because I had the kids, it was bank holiday. So we had the kids for 3 days. And so this is when it always goes a bit wrong.
Yeah.
And so my youngest has just started eating chips, loves chips. All kids do.
They love chips.
But she is obsessed with ketchup. So for 3 days, she just dipped a chip in ketchup and sucked it off. And basically that was what she ate. And yeah. And so she was like, it's not even a chip. It's more like a condiment, which is just
Sienna would just do
horrendous.
ketchup with a spoon.
Yeah. That's what she does. So, yes, we had a ketchup diet, which is just, it's painful to
there's
admit.
some tomatoes in there.
Yeah, I guess. The raw ingredient is a vegetable.
There you go.
But yeah, I definitely had bird's eye potato waffles, fish fingers and ketchup weekend.
I mean, it's their like favourite food.
Right. If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. So what about you?
I feel like I've had a bit of guilt recently. I've definitely let Aurelia eat a few things that have salt and sugar in, and she's like younger than 1.
Oh yeah, but
Is that bad?
I don't know, is it?
Like, I'm like, oh, she can't, no, she's not allowed cake. Like, she's too young. Like, if Sienna's having like a bit as a treat and then I just see her looking at it and I feel like really bad.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, just give her some.
A little bit.
Just give her a little bit.
That's all right.
You know, food that's fallen on the floor.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great one.
Should I have admitted that? 3-second rule, definitely.
3-second rule.
It applies to your kids, right?
A few little feathers on it and a few little bits of hair.
Dust it off. It's good for them.
Totally. Good for the immune system.
Okay, must sound like a really bad bum right now. Okay, choose another one.
Number 3. No, you've done that. Number 4.
Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What is your favourite thing to give your kids to shut them up?
Oh gosh, Orlando has this, you know, that shop Tiger, which is full of crap that kids love. So there's one where I live and he loves those ginormous guitars that
The blow-up ones?
Yeah, no, they're not actually blow up. They're like plastic guitars, which I hate because
they just take up so much
They
room.
just take up so much room and I don't have anywhere to put them. Anyway, he just loves them. And so that is what I give him to shut him up as a special treat. I roll out the ginormous guitar and let him have it. Yeah. Yeah, we've got an avocado shaped one, like a raspberry shaped one. These awful guitars that ruin my house. I keep them locked away, so he has them on a special occasion. But it shuts him up. So
Just loves them.
got to
Just
keep them
plays with
just
it
for
for
that.
ages.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, probably just the iPad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Paw Patrol is a current favourite.
Yeah.
And Sienna's obsessed with dinosaurs. So if she's really like whining and just having a tantrum and just like moaning and just being difficult,
Yeah.
I tell her we're going to go see the dinosaurs, which we are. But I pull it out quite a lot as like, if you want to go see the dinosaurs, you're going to have to stop whining, because dinosaurs don't like whining.
Dinosaurs
And
hate whining.
They hate it. And it's a well-known fact. So then I just distract her by like getting her to like talk to me about dinosaurs and try to like bring her out of the funk.
Yeah,
Like,
clever.
so we are going to have to go and see the dinosaurs soon, because I keep saying it and I feel really bad. So like I'm planning
Natural
it like
History
next
Museum.
week. Yeah, we're gonna go see the T-Rex next week.
Love it.
Okay, one more.
One more. Let's do it.
Okay, pick one more number.
11.
Yeah, we haven't done an 11. I like this game. Oh, okay. Have you ever pretended to be asleep when your toddler wants to play?
Hell yeah. Which one hasn't?
I've taught Sienna to play sleeping.
Play dead.
As in, like, the game is lie down in mummy's bed and pretend to be asleep.
Oh my God, genius
Yeah.
game.
But she only wants to do it for like 5 minutes.
I feel like if they know you're not available, you know, if they think you're asleep, they're quite self-contained and they just get on with it. So I mean, I do it all the time.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh no,
I
Sienna
pretend to be
Sienna thinks it's fun to just like wake you up though.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. And I'm too worried she's like drawing on the walls. So
Totally. Okay, love
okay,
that.
that was good. Okay, let's do that again. That'll be fun to do with a guest.
Yeah,
as
that
well.
is good. Okay. So my mumlemma this week is Orlando has a girlfriend. And it's so sweet. So he's only 4 and you know, he's very confident about it.
He tells you about it.
He tells me about it. He just suddenly announced it, you know.
And is she at school? Is she at his school?
She was at his old school.
Okay.
So he suddenly came in and said, Mummy, I've got a girlfriend and she's called Fizzy and she's amazing and she loves everything I give her. And, you know, can I give her this?
What does he give her presents?
Yeah, he gives her like pots of lizards, not real ones, like plastic lizards,
Okay.
and like makes her cards and I have to go and post them. You know, it's like he's in love.
Like an actual like in love.
He's in love. And
Is that, I mean, because my oldest is only 2, so I haven't experienced this yet. I mean, Sienna's seems to have like crushes on boys, but is this like 4-year-olds have girlfriends and boyfriends?
I mean, why I can relate to it is because I actually did. So,
Okay.
So when I was 4, I remember it vividly. And actually, another girl too. Me and her both had boyfriends in the class. Like, this is why I can relate to Orlando because I remember it so well. So my boyfriend was someone called Mark. And I was absolutely obsessed with him, thought he was like the coolest, guy I'd ever seen in my life. And anyway, so of course, like, which is really funny because now I'm doing it myself, but like the mums have to become friends. So, you know, I was like, Mum, please become friends with Mark's mum. So they did. And anyway, so I had a play date around at his house and I was so nervous about this play date and about just him being there and it being out of the school context that I basically just didn't talk for the whole day. And I was desperate for the loo and I just couldn't ask where the loo was. And so when we were eating dinner, I peed my pants.
Oh,
I peed myself. And anyway, so it was just like this mortifying
Bless
experience
you.
where like his mum had to go and get me some of his pants and they were like tiny Mickey Mouse briefs. And then I had to just wear them home with nothing else. And I was like, God, my first dating experience was a disaster. Like, thank God it, got better from there because that was a bad start.
God,
Anyway,
that's
so
hilarious.
now Orlando's going through this experience and he's asking me, can you make friends with Fizzy's mummy? Can we go to her house? And I'm like, oh God, I'm having to go and kind of date Fizzy's mum and, go to their house and,
does it feel quite forced or is it kind of...
I mean, she's so lovely and Fizzy is so lovely and everything's great, but it's like, they have kind of forged this relationship themselves and we have to fit in around it.
Is he sweet with her? Is he kind? Like, does it make you kind of proud?
Yeah, he is so kind. And it's actually really heartwarming because he's like a real gentleman. He takes her by the hand, he leads her around, he gives her loads of kisses, but then I feel like he's always done that even with boys and he actually got told
just
off.
really affectionate.
Yeah, he's really tactile and really affectionate and which is great and I'm like that. that. So I love that he is. But he did used to get told off about that in nursery.
Really?
Yeah, they used to be like, some people don't like it, he'd go around kissing his best friend Ollie, and they'd be like, some boys really don't like it, Orlando, so you just have to ask. And but anyway, now he's like that with his girlfriend, and she seems to love it. So so he's living his tactile dream.
At his school, have they started teaching the children about consent? Like, how early does that start?
No, I don't think so. I definitely haven't had that conversation. I'm not sure if I think this is obviously like a natural urge, but I don't think they necessarily understand it or would understand it.
What age would you start talking about sex with your kids? And like the birds, well, not sex, but like where babies come from and the birds and the bees. And has he started asking you any questions
Not
like
at
that?
all. Not at all. I mean, it's
he's
very
4.
much, he's 4, and it's very much like a kiddie conversation, like he knows he's got a willy and a girl has something different. He thinks I have a willy, which is seriously worrying.
Sienna keeps asking if Hugo has boobies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no.
So, he kind of is starting to understand like the anatomy and the differences and stuff. But I do think about it. I think that definitely when I was a kid, it was never mentioned. And, we had like this awkward sex education class when I must have been like 18, 18. Kind of,
like you must have had it earlier than 18.
Maybe it was a tiny bit earlier, but it definitely wasn't like young. It was like everyone was just laughing, being like, I mean, we could teach you more than this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's definitely got to be earlier, and it's got to be more of a conversation. But I don't know when that is. I think it would be terrifying if it was now. So what about you? When did you learn all about that?
I mean, too late. And I think also, I just think when you pick it up from other children, you hear such different things from different people, and a lot of it's like not even correct. So for me, I think I do want the girls to learn about it at home before they then go into a school environment where they're taught about it. But also, really, I think you've got to really pick the school that you like their approach to teaching it about it as well. But I definitely want to have more like open conversations just around sex generally and relationships and everything. Then I just think it wasn't so talked about.
Not at all.
And it's really shaped the way that I am, and I want the girls to feel like they can be really open with me and talk about anything with me, and hopefully not just be like, oh mum, you're so cringe, that grosses me out.
Of course they will.
I don't want to talk to you about that, but I want to start the conversations as early as possible to try to just get them to feel super comfortable, and hopefully they feel like they can confide in me about when they start their own relationships, not at 4, but when they get older. I think they start having little crushes, and like their special friends that they want to see. Sienna's currently, she just really wants to hang out with the slightly older girls. She thinks that's like quite fun and quite cool.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
Which is really sweet. But she definitely has like crushes on men.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
she'll like go up to men that like she's only just met and want to be picked up for a hug.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. But apparently I was quite like that when I was younger as well.
Bet you were.
Yeah. Fluttering my eyelashes.
And it's funny how, like, I think as a parent, you kind of try and push people on your kids. Like, I would obviously love him to want, Sienna as a girlfriend, or, my goddaughter Pearl as a girlfriend. And, and of course they find their own journey and their own way. Yeah. And, you just have to let them go. And for his birthday, he only wants, his best friend, his 2 best guy friends and Fizzy. That's it. He doesn't want anyone else, and that's what he wants. So it's amazing how they're already headstrong and they like what they like.
Oh my God, Sienna is so headstrong. We're going to have a headache when she's a teenager. If she's already this sassy at 2.
Absolutely.
My Mumlemma is how to deal with a change in identity after becoming a mum. So definitely for me, after being pregnant and having the girls, I just felt like, okay, I've changed so much, but who is this new person? Like, my whole life's different. I'm a mum now. My priorities are different. But like finding myself within that, like I'm not still the same person, but like, who am I? And I found that has really been reflected in like what I wear, and a feeling of kind of like what suits me now. Like I find sometimes like I'd go into my wardrobe, and even though things have started to fit again after, you know, nearly a year after having Aurelia, like I'm like finally I can do things up, do some of my jeans, not all of them, some of my jeans up, get back into more of my like clothes basically that aren't just like stretchy dresses. And I'm kind of like, am I that girl that used to wear that? Is that still me? Is that still my identity? And I actually had a really interesting day recently. I had a stylist come and look at all my clothes so that they could just help me to piece outfits together and look at like what I already had, because I was like, I don't want to have to get a whole new wardrobe. So it was kind of like, how can I get more wear out of what I've got and put things together in a slightly different way that maybe feels like me now rather than like who I used to be.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And that was actually really helpful, because I've been feeling a bit like lost, and like I would always just go to the same thing because it was easy, and just end up just like living in like my activewear or loungewear, which was such a thing in lockdown as well. And then I had these kind of like dresses that just didn't really feel like, I don't know about you, but when you want to just go to grab an outfit, it depends what you're doing. But when you're a kid around the kids all day, it needs to be like practical. You need to be prepared that it's going to get like puke on it. It's going to get like sticky hands all over it. You still want to like look nice and together. So it's finding that balance of what's like practical to wear.
I definitely feel that. I go to my like old pieces and I'm like, oh, this like screams like really young, like kind of trying to be sexy, you know, all these things. In a lot of occasions sometimes, but in a lot of occasions now, I really kind of don't want to feel like that. I just, you know, I want to look professional at work, or I want to look like I'm mature, and, you know, or that I'm a mum, or, you know, lots of occasions where I kind of don't want to look like those personalities from before. And then there are so that's a lot of the shift for me. But then there are times when I do want to look sexy, and I've spent
going out for like nice date night. You get dressed up, or going to like a wedding or something, you know, when you can just feel like you.
So it's but then it's kind of going back into that head frame and thinking, God, what was my go-to before? Like, and it doesn't really suit me now.
What's your go-to now? If you want to feel like sexy?
I feel I always now just go for like a little black dress, and I feel like that kind of, you can dress it up or down, and you can look, you know, you can still look like age appropriate, but also like still look sexy and young too. What about you?
I definitely feel like I'm getting back into separates again, because I really missed that from being pregnant or being bigger than my usual size, where like things didn't fit me in the same way. So I'd say probably like a really good pair of high waist jeans and like an out top and heels.
Yeah, nice.
Or like a silky slip dress with like a blazer maybe and heels. So you're showing a bit of skin, but then you're also like, you've got something on that makes it like a bit cooler, not too naked. Like me in my 20s going out always without a coat, like not worrying about being too naked. Now it's more about being a bit more demure. What you've got on underneath, or you've got some really nice underwear on, and that makes you feel sexy, or it's all about the heels.
Interesting about the underwear thing is something that gets totally overlooked, but it can make you feel totally differently.
I looked at my underwear drawer the other day and I was like, okay, this really needs an update.
Yeah, God, me too. Mine's like grey,
Still wearing like nursing bras. I'm like, me too. I haven't breastfed for like nearly a year.
I'm like, need to chuck out the M&S grey pants and upgrade.
Ones with like holes.
Which is everyone has.
It's not okay.
It's just not okay.
Okay, let's go out for like a nice lunch, go underwear shopping.
Yes, totally agree. I've talked about it before. Sorry to harp on about it, but yeah, Anya Hindmarch's book, she says, if in doubt, wash your hair. And she's like, it sounds so frivolous and so like a nothing, but I think as a woman and as a mum and being busy, you know, if you kind of go out without washing your hair, you like don't feel put together.
You think, I can just go one more day, whatever, I'll just shove it in a bun. And we've all done it so many times, and sometimes you really literally don't have time and you're so tired, but you just kind of feel gross all day. You know, when it's like that one day past where you should really push it with dry shampoo, you're like, it was on its last legs yesterday, and if you really push it again, you just there's not that much saving it. It looks like a mess.
It sounds like something so small, and I as you say, I think it can like totally change how you feel and almost like how you hold yourself. You know,
yeah, so but it's not just washing it; it's like washing it and taking like time to like dry it nicely and maybe style it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It depends obviously on your hair. If I just leave my hair, I feel like it needs like a bit of love. It needs like, I need to like blow dry it and give it a little bit of love. But I can do it in like half an hour.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely something that's like I have learned along the way. I was always, when I was younger, like would wash my hair and leave it to dry naturally. I was always like had scruffy hair. It was like kind of my thing. I never had a blow dry ever. I always thought I looked like Farrah Fawcett from the 80s when I had a blow dry, when it would just be like just like
done.
Overly done, and I just hated that look. And as I've got older, I guess as I'm a mum now and as I'm like professional, I now like see the value in that one thing. Your hair is always on your head, and if that looks put together, then you can kind of wear kind of what you want, and you look.
I agree.
Great.
If you can wear like totally wear jeans and a t-shirt and look like pulled together and nice. If you just add like a bit of jewelry and do your hair and makeup.
Yeah. What are your 3 mum must-haves?
Okay, so for like kind of putting an outfit together quickly.
Yes.
So a good pair of mum jeans.
Tick.
Comfortable shoes.
Like what?
Like trainers, or I mean, this does sound like really boring and like not that exciting. But since having kids, it's like I've realized when you're like pushing the buggy for ages, or like you're out, you just need to be able to you need to be comfortable. So it's whether maybe like going into autumn, a good pair of like flat, comfortable boots. So, some great mum jeans. I really love a high-waisted pair, as high-waisted as possible. Just gives me a bit of a waist, and just I feel like feeling that support.
Yeah.
And a good coat.
Ooh,
for
a
autumn.
good coat. You've taught me this.
A good coat can just make your outfit, and you can wear something so basic underneath it. But if you've got a good coat, and in the winter you feel really put together, and it's also like the first thing you notice when you look at someone.
You know what? You're so right. It's like when guys have their things, don't they? And I do think a girl's thing is a coat, and
you could just wear like simple sweater, jeans, done. Like your flat boots, but because you've got the coat on, you can make a statement with the coat.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't matter what you're wearing underneath. You definitely have taught me that. I used to invest in other things. And actually, you've always got such amazing coats, and it makes you look put together like straight away.
Also, you can keep coats forever.
Exactly, and it is worth the investment, I think.
Definitely. And I think coats are also a great thing to buy in sales.
Oh, yeah.
And
good
save
tip.
it for the next year.
Yeah, love
there
it.
You go.
There you go. Well done.
And if any of our community has any advice, what are your go-tos? We would also love to hear from you, and we can share the answers next time. So please email mm@basementchats.com or DM us at basementchats. Third and final Mumlemma for today's episode: how do I deal with my changing sex life? So this affects all parents.
All parents. It's
everyone, like all parents. It's a huge
topic, and something that I don't think anyone discusses. We discuss it privately. Lots of our girlfriends discuss it privately, but I don't think I've ever heard it really talked about, dug into so much in a public forum.
But I think it should be more talked about. Like, it shouldn't be something like that you feel ashamed to talk about, and that it affects all couples when they have children. Like it like nothing changes your life more.
I totally agree. And it's tricky because I think, as women, we're kind of programmed to, definitely like my mum would kind of instill into me, make sure that, your man doesn't have a wandering eye, and you are fulfilling his needs in that way. And, you're a goddess in the kitchen, and, a vixen in the bedroom, and, all these kind of old fashioned,
like stereotypical
sayings.
roles.
Yeah.
That a woman's meant to like fill, and it just doesn't fucking happen.
Exactly. And I'm definitely not a goddess in the kitchen for one, so I'm already like 50% failing, but also women like work, and looking after kids is like actually full on.
Well, should we just talk about, like, it starts when you get pregnant, right? So everyone's got a different journey in when they're trying for kids, right? But but I think we've talked about this before. Like, when I was trying to get pregnant, I just wanted to have sex all the time.
Yeah.
And I was so horny, and I just loved the fact that when we were having sex, I knew that we could be making a baby, and I found it like a turn on. I was like, this, and I just
too.
Literally like jump on Hugo and be like, well, yeah, we're doing it right now. And I was just so up for it. And then when I got pregnant, it kind of felt weird. Like, it was kind of that thing of like, oh, like, should we be doing it? Like, is it going to like hurt the baby? But I guess until my bump started to show, which probably wasn't till after about 3 months, it didn't really affect it that much with Sienna. But then as I got bigger, I definitely didn't feel like doing it. And I got pelvic pain as well.
Oh yeah, that's a turn off.
Yeah, pelvic pain and sex don't really mix. So I think we did it in the first trimester, like, I mean, not daily, but like every week. And then as I got more pregnant, it just like, we just didn't.
Yeah, I know.
And we'd still like cuddle and kiss and like have that kind of intimacy, but it just didn't, I think, yeah, I just didn't feel very sexual and it was painful. And so we just didn't.
Yeah. I think like everyone has a different experience of it. And I think it's so hormonal. And I think that I've definitely spoken to girlfriends about it. And I'm like, I had exactly the same as you had. When I thought about making a baby, it was like so animalistic and kind of raw.
Like primal.
Like primal. And I was like, was a turn on for me.
Yeah.
And I literally wanted to rip his clothes off. And I have spoken to other girlfriends and they were like, no, I didn't get that. I don't get that. That is definitely not a turn on for me.
I think if there's like, if there's the pressure to make a baby, that can also be a turn off. If you're like, I've got to do it now, I'm ovulating. Like, I think that can be hard for both people, like in a relationship.
Totally.
But I think, well, it depends if the guy, like, I know you've talked about it as well, like when like you felt like there was, like Johnny felt like there was pressure.
Exactly. So, you know, it can kind of go either way, I guess. But now, and everyone has their own journeys, as we was talking about earlier.
When you were pregnant,
we didn't have sex at all. And I think it's like
both children,
hormonal. Both children. I think it's hormonal. It's like you want to make the baby, and then you've kind of made the baby, and something happened in my body. I don't know if this is relevant to anyone else, but I just was like, job's done, jobs are good, and don't need to have sex anymore. Like, why would I?
Yeah,
that's just how I felt. So just didn't feel like it. And now, post birth, obviously you go through the like stage at the beginning where it's just all a bit of a mess anyway, but now I'm so in tune with my body. I obviously tried for a baby so hard that I understand the times of the month, and I understand when I'm ovulating. You know your
cycle,
know my cycle inside out. So now I am 100% aware when I feel horny is when I'm ovulating, and that to me, it's just hilarious how we are so basic. We're animals, and you know, I don't know if this is true of anyone else, but this is definitely true for me. And I have like 5 days of like insatiable, I guess, horniness, where I just want to rip his clothes off, and then it just falls off the cliff, and literally don't want to do it for the rest of the month. And Johnny knows this, obviously, because he is involved, and we howl with laughter about it. And he's like, "When are those 5 days coming up?"
You're just like, that's like your like go time.
Yeah. And I'm like, how funny it corresponds like that. And I would never have known that before, because I've never would have like charted my body in that way, I guess.
When I'm ovulating, I always think that my boobs look good, like they, and like, and I'll like look at the mirror, and like, even though I've like been whatever, like I feel like I've been eating foods that I'd normally feel like quite bloated or whatever, I feel like everyone's like, oh, everything's looking really good. Like, I'm like, oh, like I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like good in my body. I can't explain. Like something happens, like I'm like, oh, I look hot. Like, but then is that just like my hormones as well?
Do you know is that when you're ovulating?
Yeah,
you know it's that time. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So it's there for a reason, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's how Aurelia.
That's how they were born.
That's how it really happened.
But I definitely think, you know, obviously we're talking about it now. It's definitely a journey, and it's kind of hard to have the consistency that you had before.
We both spoke about it when we were pregnant, because with Aurelia, I think we literally just didn't have sex for pretty much 9 months. But then you have to factor in also, the time after the baby where you can't have sex.
Exactly.
Especially if you've had a C-section. So like that's another 2 months. So basically a year.
Right. And to get out of that pattern with your partner.
I was quite scared. Like it's like hard to go back to it. And then you're breastfeeding, you've got like leaking boobs that like might spurt milk. Like, you know, my body looks different. Like it's just, so I was like sweaty. Like, it's just weird. It's so weird going back to it. But I remember talking to you and I was like, I'm really worried about my relationship. Like, is this normal? Yeah. Is he still gonna like fancy me? Like, it's just difficult. And I think when you take on the role of like mum and dad, and you've got to switch from cleaning up baby sick and shitty nappies to being sexual with each other, when you've seen each other in these other roles like all day, it's really hard to turn it on and be like, hey, let's forget about the sick in our hair and shit under our fingernails and let's be intimate. Like, it's really
that is the worst image.
Really, it's true, right? Like, it's really hard.
Don't suck my finger, no, Jay.
Yeah, really don't. Who knows where it's been?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, exactly. It's a definite journey, and no one really prepares you for it or talks about it.
How do you have sex after kids?
It's a big question.
Just asking for a friend.
I think I definitely feel differently as well, like about I think the relationship shifts, and I see Johnny in a totally different way than I saw him before. I see him as like a dad and like much more of a protector than I saw him before, and that's like a different, it's like a love, I guess, which is like different to, oh my god, I want to rip your clothes off every 5 minutes. It's like, I love you, we're building our family, and that is kind of, I guess, where sex is involved. That's kind of a different way of having sex, and it's just kind of getting used to the change.
Yeah, I think for me it's taken a bit of time to feel sexual again and feel sexy in myself and feel that connection. For a while I just didn't have any libido, and I don't think that's very talked about either, but it's really common, like with the change in your hormones and like just feeling like you just don't really have the urge.
Totally.
Like I didn't even have the urge like by myself.
Totally.
For a while. And I was like, is it just gone? Is it going to come back?
I agree.
And I was really worried, but it has like come back more recently. Having the time for self-pleasure or sex is a whole other thing, and it's something I talk to different friends about it, and some of them actually schedule it in, so it's like once a week.
I was just going to say that.
And I haven't tried that, and I don't know if I like the kind of pressure aspect of it, but it gets it done. And
okay, you know what
I think it's actually not a bad idea. I might try it.
I think the reason why that is good, and it sounds awful and mechanical and like, oh my God, how could you ever do that? But I feel like it's a bit like going to the gym, when you're like, oh no, and then you do it and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah,
like, why would I not do that?
You have to do it, get back into doing it as a regular thing again.
Yeah, like why would I not do that every night? Like it's the same thing. It releases all those endorphins. It makes you so connected. It makes you like better parents. It makes all these, like I definitely know that when Johnny
we start getting really aggy with each other when we haven't had sex for ages, because that we need to have that like moment of intimacy and that connection, and I just feel like we start like nagging at each other, and
and how different it is when you have had like amazing sex, and all of a sudden you are just so nice to each other, and you're like, let's go for a date night, and I mean it like lifts the mood.
I think date nights are really important. The only time I feel that it's like guaranteed to happen is if we're like staying in a hotel without the kids, and I always think it's better to try and do it before dinner.
Oh, I like it.
Because you go out for a fancy dinner and you're so full and tired afterwards, and then it's just really unlikely to happen.
It's so true.
So you've got to like have a nice bath, have like a glass of something, put on some sexy underwear,
and just do it. Like put on the underwear, like force yourself to do it, and walk into that room, and just like, even though you're like dying inside, I think it's like important just to do it.
When it's been a while, I think it can just feel really hard to even have that. Like, how do you even start?
Yes.
But like, oh God, it can feel awkward and clumsy.
Totally.
I think you can't go wrong with just starting with a good kiss.
Yeah,
just
you're
like,
right.
Just like, I feel like if I feel a bit awkward, I always like initiate it with like a massage, and I think just like simple like touching and kissing.
Is that your initiation? Is that your like first step? Like I talk about this actually with girlfriends.
If you want to have sex tonight, offer me a massage.
Oh my God, I can't. I'm dying.
And do your sexy French masseuse voice. Yeah.
Dying. Hugo has a sexy French masseuse voice.
He's called Jacques.
Fuck off.
Yeah. I actually haven't heard from Jacques in a while though.
Tears. Actual tears. Who knew? I know you so well. I know you both so well. I mean, I guess why would I know about Jacques? Now everyone does.
Jacques has not been around for a while.
Sorry, Jacques.
We need to pull Jacques back
Not even
out.
Jacques. Of course it wouldn't be Jacques. It would have to be Jacques.
Yeah. So there you go.
Babe, this is brand new information.
Well, it's hardly that exciting, but for me, it's like, it's nice to feel like there's a nice like gesture. It's not just like you go from
you like the
nothing.
foreplay.
It's like a nice way to just ease into it without it feeling like too like
there's
high pressure.
There's nothing worse than like skipping those steps either. I definitely think that is something that comes with definitely being married for a long time, and I guess being a parent, is that maybe when you're younger you just kind of wouldn't say, and you just like let those steps be missed. And now, you know, it's really important to like make sure that, you know, you're like, this is what I like and this is how to do it. And
if you really want to turn me on, can you like do the dishes?
Scrub my fingernails.
Yeah, like take the bins out. I don't know, just like tidy up all the kids' toys, give me a foot rub,
put a string of garlic around your neck, Jacques.
Yeah. Just do your sexy French accent.
Oh, too.
But I think it's really important that even that for your sex life to be good, and for you to feel like willing that you actually like, want to do it. Like small gestures, I think, that help your partner out can be a kind of good stepping stone.
I agree, actually.
Do you not think, like, if you're feeling a bit resentful and pissed off that you feel like your partner isn't like pulling their weight with like other things around the house, and you feel really overwhelmed and exhausted from doing stuff with the kids, you're kind of a bit like, oh, I can't be fucked to put out because you haven't helped me. If your partner like shows you, it's like, you know, the different like love languages.
I love this conversation.
Like, if people you figure out, I think it's really good like for couples to figure out what their love languages are. I think mine are quality time and physical touch. What would you say yours are?
I would say like language, like
what, like words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. I feel like I definitely notice if Johnny hasn't said I love you in the course of a day. I mean, he says it multiple times a day, and if he's really busy, I really feel it, and so that's definitely like a reassurance one for me. And yes, physical touch. I guess just being tactile and you know, that's how I kind of know he loves me. But I definitely don't have like, both of us together do not have the gifts one. I know it's really important to some people, like really important to show that they're loved. And we're just crap with gifts with each other. And we just really like, we don't even buy each other presents for Christmas or birthdays. And it really doesn't bother me.
I'd rather have the quality time.
Me too.
I'm more, what can we do together? Like rather than a gift, I'd rather have a nice weekend away.
So that's like, I guess, acts of service.
Meal, or yeah, I'd rather do something together. Is that not quality time? Maybe. I want the gifts, the acts of service. I want all of it, just to be clear.
Give me your 5.
I'll have all 5, please, thank you.
So
why do I have to pick 2?
What do you give? Like, what's your love language when you're giving?
What do I give? Is like cooking delicious food an act of service?
Absolutely. I think you're brilliant at that, actually.
Okay, so I think I do acts of service because I love like cooking for people, and I love to like make a nice dinner, and that's kind of one of the ways I like to like show love.
Yeah.
And I would say I'd say I'm like the physical affection,
touch.
Yeah, touch.
I think mine definitely 100%, and I do it with my kids as well, is words of affirmation. Actually, and I'll tell you where this came from. It's like in my soul, is that when I was growing up, my mum showed her love by just saying that I was great. She would be like, you know, gosh, you're so brainy, and you're so this and you're so that. And actually then when, you know, I kind of scraped through my GCSEs and as I got to an adult, I suddenly realised like how hilarious that she was kind of doing it to give me confidence, and actually it wasn't true at all. But
well, babe, you did pretty well.
No,
so, yeah.
But I think that's why. I think they like, it gives you confidence. And anyway, it is like a kind of psychological trick to just allow people to kind of go into the world like thinking they're great. Like, why wouldn't you give that gift to someone? And anyway, so now I just naturally do it to Johnny. I do it to my kids. So I'm like, you are so beautiful. You are like the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And, you know, and Orlando will now be like, I know. You know, he believes that he is. And I do it to Johnny as well. I'm like, you're just so cool, and you're so like, you know,
build them up.
Yeah. And that's how like
I feel good.
I naturally do that, and that is definitely my love language.
You're like that with your friends as well.
I'm like that with my friends.
Yeah.
I love being like that. But I genuinely do believe this, that these are all like traits of people which, you know, if I think someone's looking amazing, I will actually tell them, because I don't think people do that enough. And I'll be like, you look amazing today.
You always make everyone feel really good.
Yeah, and I just think like, what a gift, you know, that you can like give that to someone and then they can go off in their day being like, you know, naturally, just think about it.
I feel like uplifted after I've seen you, babe.
Yeah, you just think, I look great today. Yeah. Love languages.
Okay, so like talking about sex, I think that wasn't too bad.
Well, I really didn't want to talk about that one, and we've like babbled on for
I
ages.
was like, we're going to talk about sex today. You were like, no, can we not? I was like, no, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't like, Mum, if you're listening, like, you didn't have to listen if you were, but I'm not going to be ashamed to talk about it. Like, we're adults, and
Absolutely.
it's a big part of life, and it's
a huge part of life.
I think it's just a very British thing to feel like it's a taboo subject. It's not so much in all other cultures.
I also think I think
British
women
to be a bit like uptight and reserved.
Yeah, and I think women talking about it, I think especially what you were saying about like your sexualness with yourself, I think, oh gosh, it's such a taboo subject, and women are really afraid to talk about it. Again, we talk about it, I talk about it with all my friends, but it's not really talked about publicly.
Yeah.
So
it is definitely more now than when we were growing up, but I really want to really hope my girls want to talk to me about it. They probably won't. They'll be like, Mum, you're so embarrassing.
You'll be like that mum from Clueless, where you'll be like, hi girls, like let's talk about sex today, and over a cocktail, and they'll be like, oh,
do you mean from Mean Girls?
Oh, sorry, from Mean Girls.
God, I'm not going to be the mum in Mean Girls. Thanks, babe. Now it's time for a little bit of light relief. It's our very first Made in Chelsea trivia quiz. Woo!
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. It's time for Are You Tough Enough? Are you ready, Charlie?
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so today we've got an amazing giveaway from our friends at Lily and Bean. They are giving away a personalised carry-on and jumbo tote.
Wow, that's cool.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You going to read it?
Yes. So, in season 1, what restaurant had Mark Francis never heard of?
Okay, guys, so if you know the answer, head over to the Basements Chat Instagram and comment on the relevant post, and you could win a Lily and Bean prize.
Full T's and C's apply. You can find them in the show notes. You can only enter once. The competition closes at midnight on the Monday after this episode is released. The winner will be picked at random and contacted via DM on Tuesday.
And that's it from us. I've really enjoyed today's episode.
I loved today's episode. I was so excited to kind of delve into this topic, but also a little bit nervous. So I'm glad we were just honest, and delivered it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like the chats that we have all the time when it's just like me and you, just having them on air.
Exactly, having them to a very public forum. Please remember, guys, we are not experts. We are definitely not doctors. So if you are struggling with anything, please consult a professional.
And thank you again to our season sponsor, Mamma Mio. And as promised, you can treat yourself with a discount code, which is MillyM, for 25% off the entire range. Before we go, here's what's coming up in the next episode.
And if you want to start a completely new career, which I did, do it. Do follow your passion. And don't think you have to be an inventor, because you don't. I wasn't an inventor. I wrote a book. I screamed to my husband, the baby's coming. Of course, he didn't believe me. He came up, the head's already out, blue, thinks the baby's not alive, and then the baby's body comes out. I've had a lot of people who've worked for me, and they've had multiple babies whilst they've been working with me. And I think that this is slightly different, but I think that they are just as good at their work, if not better, because they don't want to waste time.
Guys, we want to hear from you too. Have you got a mumlemma that you'd like to share? One that we can try and help you with?
If you do, then email us at mm@basementchats.com or DM us on Instagram @basementchats.
You can also check out our YouTube channel for behind the scenes clips. Just search Mumlemmas. The YouTube channel is updated every Sunday. Thanks to audio producer Laura Gallup of Feast Collective and the rest of our amazing team who make this podcast happen. Not forgetting Basement Chats for creating this space where we can have this chat.